I want to emphasize on something very, very important, which is top-down analysis. I This is for members who are starting with us, or members or people who want to start with us. Top-down analysis, understanding the market's direction, is part of what I do, and that alone is so valuable. It worth the entire thing. Just for me to give you my point of view and what I'm looking at, it should help understanding the trend, the levels of rejections, levels of support, etc. And I'll give you an example. Not all of them, of course, are tradable. Not all the top down. This is not trading. This is giving you a top down analysis about market's direction, market's next support, next levels. So, for example, I'll start with the indices. Okay, today is September 13th. Yesterday is 12th. Today is Tuesday. Doing the live room. If you see this at 8 a.m., around 8 a.m., I emphasized on the fact that ES, I'm looking at now the CFDs. CFDs are similar to futures, but in the spot market. I use CFDs for longer term views. They help me a lot because of the volume profile is more vivid, more clear. So on this, I clearly said we have upper resistance on the SPX 500, which is the E-mini S&P or S&P, right? I said we have upper resistance, and I gave you the blue line right here. And if you look at the here, it says indices are facing a strong upper resistance areas this morning. So that was yesterday's morning. Of course, yesterday was a very tough day. They were just up and down. I did not call a trade. If you see, I did not call a trade on these. I just gave you an idea. And if you look at the NASDAQ, you see, NASDAQ, my level was just around 12,800 or higher a little bit. This was my level for resistance. Of course, this is not a tradable level. When we get to that level, then I would be looking for a trade signal, such as confirming it, looking at a smaller time frame or smaller chart for me to pinpoint the exact level of entry and stop losses, right? So this is a very valuable thing that people need to pay attention to. This alone is worth getting into this with us, right? Nasdaq, and then I said, okay, what about Nasdaq, and then I put Nas 100. ES, what was that? Okay, sorry. This is AS, this is Nasdaq or NQ, I said, and this is the YM, which is the Dow. Okay, and in the spot and the CFDs that we use, it's US 30. Of course, it could be named something else depending on the broker that you use. Could be another thing. It could not be, maybe US 30, or it could be Dow US. On the spot market. But in reality, what happened is this exactly what I anticipated. If you look at SPX 500, the first one, right? Look at the weekly. This is the line that I drew, right? Of course, it poked it overnight. It poked it, but then look at the move. This is on the weekly, folks. So imagine how big this move is. If you look at the hourly chart, look at this move that happened, right? So the resistance on the weekly, what I was pointing to, if you had marked it, and of course the poking above it happened overnight, and if you're available, you could have traded it short. At least you would have avoided the long, right? You would, because most people would think this is an uptrend, right? If you don't see this part of it, you would think this is an uptrend, so let's go long, right? But since you know volume profile and you see the top down analysis, you would understand that no, this was a long. Now tide is changing, the trend is changing, right? Same thing with the Nasdaq. If you look at the Nasdaq on the weekly, this was the yesterday's line, and look what happened, right? Of course, I'm looking at also the daily. I'm looking at other aspects, but look at the 1 hour chart and see what happened to the Nasdaq. This move, right? Imagine if you were going against the volume profile direction. and this is US 30, which is the Dow. You see, this is the Dow. So all these levels are very important for you to mark and look at. And then even if I'm not available, some of you are just starting, you need to learn how to trade those. Whether this is a very important point, whether you have your own strategy to trade these or combine our strategy with yours, it's even better. A lot of people have a strategy, but it's missing something. It's missing confirmation. It's missing the volume profile levels. Okay, so this is important. Combine your strategy with this, or just use our strategy. Another thing I want to give you, I was looking at. Let me first of all go to the forex channel, which is currencies and FX and futures. Of course, I have futures and I have FX, but I gave you a note about US Swiss franc. I said US Swiss franc is facing a support level. You see this? US Swiss franc testing the same weekly support area. Why? Look at the weekly and look at how many times this level has been tested in the past. So that being said, I did not look at it further other than it was a bit dangerous to trade. Why? Because it tested it before. So what happened is that it really it came back below it, it tested it, and look where it stopped. This happened overnight my time. I could not really benefit from it. On the other side, if you look at a day, 1 day profile, look where it stopped. So if you had this idea about US Swiss franc, which I posted earlier yesterday, it was September 12th around 8:15 a.m. If you see this, you would have waited for that long to happen, meaning you could have benefited from it. And look at the move. This is on the 1 day profile. And look at the 60-minute chart. And look at the 987 tick chart. You see how big the move is. Huge move, right? And also we had some other confirmations on smaller charts. So we're talking about now top-down analysis and looking at levels, right? Understanding the levels, what I'm looking at. Other things that I also posted for you folks, I posted not only a top-down analysis on the gold and the silver, but I actually posted trades here yesterday, September 12th, looking at gold for possible short. This was at 8:53 a.m. Looking at gold for possible short. Right? I gave you a picture, so it was around 1733 level or 1731 level. I was looking for that area to go short. Same thing, and then I called it. I said swing short gold. Your stop loss will be just above the new high, just higher above the new highs. It's a swing, right? And also I added the silver. Same thing for the silver. Same thing for the silver. Now, at one point, my silver, yesterday was a very bad day because it was really hesitant. It went back and forth, up and down, like hesitant, shaky. So the silver stop loss was taken. I think I had about 20 ticks or pips stop loss, which is fine. It's a small stop. But the gold, it went against us a little bit, but then it moved down. I said silver was stopped, but the gold, you see what happened to the gold? Look at the gold move. Do you see the gold? This was the actual top-down analysis level. If I look at the daily, sorry, the level was here. If I look at 1 day profile, the level was for the short was around here. This was the level, as you see. And look at the move that happened. If you look at a 60-minute chart, here's the move. This is what I shared with you as a picture yesterday. You see this? This is the picture that I shared with everybody on gold. See, this is the hourly picture. This is the same picture. Look what the gold did so far. So top-down analysis is important. It's very important because once you see the full picture using volume profile, then you do your homework in terms of which one you want to trade, which one has a better opportunity, better chances, less risk. Okay, any questions on that? Good question, Harry. What stop loss? Now, the idea that I presented was looking at gold for a possible short, and it was this level, right? It was this area, this level. So now to trade this, we have to look for a good entry. That means on the, let's say, let's scale down to the hourly. Okay, so for me to get a trade in, I start looking at the hourly, and on the hourly, look what I see. Look what I see on the hourly. This would have been a great entry level. This area, see this? This area would have been a good entry level. Do you see? Do you understand why? Because of the volume profile. From the education on the volume profile, you understand this is the last point of defense here, because this area, if it pokes higher, it's going to continue all the way up. So let's assume that you got in early. Let's assume you got in here in this area. Looking at this from the volume profile perspective, and you are using volume profile for your stop losses, which I use. I call them smart stops. Your stop loss should have been somewhere around 1736 area, because once we go into here, it's going to continue, right? That's why it went personally, it went against me for a little bit, and then it came back down yesterday for first target. One other thing also we need to understand, Harry, is that once the market goes in your favor enough to take first target, then you're set. Why? Because your first target on the first 2/3 of the contract. Let's say you're doing 3 contracts, right? You're doing 3 contracts, 3 contracts or 3 lots. You take 2 out, add, let's say, 20 pips or 25 pips. Now you made 40 pips or 50 pips combined, right? So now your stop loss is safe. Even if it comes back and takes you out, you're still making money on the runner. That's why you are comfortable keeping a runner, especially if the volume profile is telling us that this could come back down a lot lower. For example, on the gold, if you look at the daily, and I did a video on this, and it's available, I think, on the website too. Gold has a chance to break this. Do you see this low right here? Do you see how many times it's been tested? You see these areas? Tested, 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 tested. Here, you see this? So which means this is a fragile, could be broken easily next time. So my goal on my target on gold is all the way to this level here, or even lower. See this? This is my target, or could be even lower. But if you got in at this area, you see the target could be all the way here, or maybe just the sell indicator. That's all. But that's a big target. It's not something small. Okay? But the strategy is anticipate. You anticipate the thing. You have to anticipate the move, and then confirm, and then execute. Now, talking about the indices, the ES, the NASDAQ, and the top-down analysis that I mentioned, upper resistance for a swing short, I could not benefit from them because the poking above these levels that I had drawn happened overnight. So I don't know really. I don't know what kind of confirmations we got at that time, because it happened overnight for me. But if you were monitoring, then you could have benefited from those. Okay. And when this morning came, I looked at my news announcement. I realized there's news at 8:30. So I told everybody we have news at 8:30. So I could not really benefit from, because I don't like to trade during news, which was elite here. So before 8 o'clock, I said we have news at 8:30. So